safety shelter. Who are they?
Frederick Balzari.
What does he want?
Me.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 action film Fortress. A film that is directed by James Cullen Brezak and it stars Bruce Willis, Chad Michael Murray, Jesse Metcalfe and Shannon Doherty. Right, this film focuses on Jesse Metcalfe's character who is estranged from his father. He hasn't spoken to him for about 3 years. And he needs to get in touch with his father. So he heads out to this compound to meet up with his father. Once there, he realises that his father is in actual fact a retired CIA agent. And this compound is where retired CIA agents go to retire, essentially. And Chad Michael Murray's character is an old acquaintance of Bruce Willis that has decided he's going to invade this compound because he needs some vital information from Bruce Willis. And then they all have to fight back. Right, what are my thoughts on Fortress? Well, here we are again. Another low budget Bruce Willis film. The most recent one. Well, I think this is I don't know, is it third, fourth, fifth one I've reviewed this year that Bruce Willis has been in? I lost count. They're usually pretty terrible. The last one I reviewed, Apex, was shockingly bad. Is this as bad as certainly the last one? We'll go by the last one, Apex. Is it as bad as that? No, it's not just as bad as that, but that's not really any thanks to Bruce Willis. Because Bruce Willis is his usual self here. No effort. Really dull delivery of his lines, monotone. So yeah, phoning it in, usual Bruce Willis. Forget about him really in this film because he's not a draw at all. The rest of the cast at least put some effort in. We've got Jesse Metcalfe who plays Bruce Willis's son Paul, who like runs his own business, and he's trying to basically get back in touch with his father to kind of reconnect, but also to try and get some money out of his dad to help him with his business. Actually, Jesse Metcalfe's okay in this film, even though for a lot of the action sequences he's kind of surplus to requirements because he doesn't do a lot. You've got Chad Michael Murray playing the villain here, and he puts in a decent pantomime villain performance. He's trying. There's decent effort there, and you can definitely tell he's the bad guy. You might as well have it tattooed on his forehead. I'm the bad guy. And then Shannon Doherty plays like somebody that kind of is part of this fortress where the CIA agents go. And her character seems very much surplus to requirements until there is a plot twist that takes place that you can see it coming a mile away. So Bruce Willis, while you do see him occasionally wandering about firing a gun, very occasionally, for the most part in this film he's sat on his backside, tied up. So he doesn't actually do an awful lot of the action scenes other than, like I say, firing a gun here and there. A lot of the action scenes are taken up by other characters. There's Kelly Grayson, who plays Kate, who's one of the people that works at this fortress place. And there's another character who I can't find. Oh yeah, it's Michael Sirao, who plays Ken. Now, these basically do the majority of the heavy lifting when it comes to the action scenes. And yeah, Kelly Grayson's absolutely fine for the most part, even though she's got a really terrible romantic angle with Jesse Metcalfe's character that is really, really cringy. And really, it just genuinely doesn't work. And there's a scene right at the end, where they have a little kissy scene, and it's really, really cringeworthy. I couldn't bear it. It was awful. And this character called Ken, who's like another guy that works at this fortress, very capable soldier, we're told, and he does really well with the action scenes. The trouble is his character is seriously annoying in every way. He's like dropping one-liners. He's like, imagine, I don't know, I was about to say imagine, Arnie in the 80s but without the muscles, but he was nowhere near as charismatic as Arnie in the 80s. But he was desperate to be like the comedic element of the film, I suppose. It didn't work. So you've got all these characters thrown into the mix, and it all gets a little bit messy. I actually thought the setup here was pretty decent. You know, you could follow it up to a certain point, you know. Why Bruce Willis was in this fortress, why his son wanted to meet up with him, etc, etc. Even to some degree why Chad Michael Murray's character wanted to get into the fortress to get hold of Bruce Willis. And then the last quarter of the film, the whole plot falls to pieces for a whole number of reasons that I'm not going to go into because I'll be here till midnight. So it all just falls to pieces by the end, and I think they can kind of gloss over it with a few fight scenes and a few shootout scenes. But to me, it was the plot points that were just being totally ignored by the end, which really bothered me. So yeah, not just the most horrific Bruce Willis film I've seen for the last year or two, because he's done a lot of horrific films in the last year or two. But like I say, this is very little to do with him really, in the fact that everybody else puts in a shift here, and Bruce Willis just kind of rides their wave, I suppose. Yeah, what can I say about it? If you're a fan of low budget action and any of these names attract you into watching this film, go ahead and give it a rent or a buy. I personally wouldn't recommend it because it just, you know, there's too much way wrong with this one, but it is bearable, I suppose. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Like I say, worth checking out, I suppose, if you're really looking for a low budget action film that might fill a void, but it isn't that good, to be fair. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very soon.